Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Democracy 3 Africa, playing as Zambia going into Year 9. We're getting very close to the end of the series at this point. Next video I think will wrap things up for us, and we've actually managed to improve our lot in life in Zambia a lot. I think in the next year or two we're going to see the country improve dramatically, which is going to be excellent. But before I get into all of that, I have no doubt that many of you guys are tuning into this video because you are interested in the follow-up from the last video. So, rather than just kind of tuck it in the middle of the episode and try to trick you into watching for a while, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way now. Last video I made was on Tuesday, November 8th, which was the election day for the 2016 elections in the United States. And I talked a bit about my thoughts on the candidates, basically that I really don't like either of them, and I don't feel like either one of them is going to represent me, or my ideas for the country. And I was kind of agonizing over the decision, but I said I'd get back to you guys once the election has come and gone, and it's come and gone. And, hoo boy, everybody, it was a doozy. Hell froze over. It actually happened. At first the Chicago Cubs win the World Series, and now Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States. I never saw that coming when Donald Trump announced his candidacy months ago. And I didn't even see it leading right up to the election. All the polls seemed to indicate that Hillary Clinton had a good, strong lead. But I was proven wrong. I was proven wrong, and Donald Trump won. Still looking at it, it shocks me a little bit. I mean, Donald Trump had practically no ground game compared to the Democrats. I didn't see how he was going to be able to get out there and get the vote, but he did. And the polls were completely off. I have a theory about that. I suspect that what happened is, okay, so the way the polling works in the United States, right, is they tried to, they poll what they consider to be likely voters. People that have a good track record of actually showing up and voting, people who seem to have indicated an interest in voting. Those are the people that matter. Those are the people that they poll because they think that that's going to get closer to, you know, a more accurate representation of how the vote's going to go on Election Day. Because, you know, only about a third of Americans actually vote, which is atrocious, by the way. But only about a third of Americans vote, so they don't want to count all the people that aren't going to show up because, you know, that doesn't make sense. I suspect that a lot of the people that voted, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump, were people that typically do not vote. And as a result, the polling stations, organizations, whatever, did not include them when they were doing their polling. And as a result, a big chunk of the Trump supporters were completely left out of the equation. And lo and behold, they showed up in force and actually flipped Pennsylvania and Michigan to Trump. Whoever saw that coming? I can't even remember the last time Republicans won those states. This is so crazy. It does look like Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, though, and honestly, that's unfortunate. If one of these candidates has to win, which they did, and I acknowledged as much in the last video, I didn't want it to be this close, because now I'm kind of worried for the state of America. I've already seen it happening a little bit. The grief kind of setting in for some people, for the people who lost, the people who were really excited for Hillary Clinton. I've already seen several posts on my Facebook wall that basically come up to, hey, if you supported Trump, you're a piece of crap. You know, let me know that you voted for Trump because I want to delete you from my life. I never want to talk to you again. Like, I'm seeing a lot of those kind of things right now because people are upset and they're scared. And when people are scared, they tend to lash out in anger, or at least some do. And I'm seeing that happen a lot right now. They're being sore losers, but they're also venting a lot of emotional energy. And on the other hand, you've got Trump supporters who are thrilled. I mean, yeah, their candidate won. Of course they're excited. Of course they're happy. I expect that. But then you have the people who go too far, and they're basically bathing in the tears of their enemies, and they're gloating, and they're being absolute douches about it, and it's just not right either. They're being sore winners. After such a divided campaign, I know that last video I talked about America really needs to come together, but I'm having a hard time seeing that happen, at least in the short term. People are really upset. This is not as simple, right, as your team won or lost the Super Bowl, right? Because then afterwards, well, it was exciting, we all had an emotional rush, but now it's over, let's go back to our lives. People are really invested in this because it's going to have long-term impacts on their lives. So, I don't know. This is not something that's going to just quiet down easily. It may take weeks, it may take months. I'm not sure. But we as Americans need to be adult enough to keep our emotions in check a little bit and have a little bit of sympathy for the other side. I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story from when I was a child. So, I'll tell you now, I grew up in a fairly conservative household. I suspect that's one of the reasons I'm not a progressive to this day. And in 2000, my parents were supporting George W. Bush over Al Gore. And, I was about 10 years old at the time. And I didn't know much about anything about politics, of course. I mean, I'm 10 years old. You can't expect me to understand anything. All I knew is that the adults were really excited about this campaign. And on election night, I stayed up and I watched the map. I watched states turn to red and blue, and I was cheering for the team because I treated it kind of like a sports thing. I didn't really know what I was doing, basically. And George W. Bush won. It took forever. Florida, as I recall, was given to Bush, then taken away, then eventually given back, blah, blah, blah. It was really contentious, and I think Al Gore still won the popular vote. But either way, I didn't know what was going on. I looked at my dad, and I said to him, man, I would have been really scared if Al Gore had won. Because, come on, I'm a kid. I was looking for approval from my father, because I expected him to be like, haha, that's my boy, right? He didn't react quite that way. Keeping in mind, again, this is somebody who voted for George Bush. But he looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, just remember, right now, there are a lot of people in this country who are scared because George Bush won. It's such a simple thing that he said, so simple. But I never forgot that, because that was a moment in my little 10-year-old brain where some lights just flickered on, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow. This is important, and there are people who genuinely believe in things that, are different from me or my family at the time anyway. And holy crap, of course they're scared. I need to think a little bit more from their perspective. I need to walk in their shoes. I need to have some compassion, because they're probably grieving right now. It changed everything, and I've never forgotten that moment. Again, it was so simple, but it shaped my perspective when it comes to politics. It's one of the reasons that I really want to focus on finding commonalities with two different sides. I want to think that you can have an open dialogue. You can find your common understandings and principles without necessarily going to demonizing the other side. Oh, I know it's fun to make fun of everyone else, right? Like, okay, I watched, after Hillary Clinton was losing, I saw that, Lady Gaga and Katy Perry were in the backstage crying. I saw Miley Cyrus crying, and I'll admit, I felt a little bit of a sense of glee, because I don't much care for them. I don't really like that celebrities get involved in politics in the first place, and there was just something kind of like, but at the same time, that's not really good. That's not healthy. That's not productive. It doesn't unify anybody. And I really honestly believe that the only way that the United States is going to survive over the next few years is if the American people stand together. Because at this point, the United States people, the American people, have already proven that they still are in control of this government. I don't think that there's any way you can suggest that all these voters were just, bought off by the rich elites. All right, if this election has showed me anything after the WikiLeaks emails and just the general conduct of the media and everything else, it's that a lot of the elite powers in control were very much in the tank for Clinton. Donald Trump, by all accounts, should not have won this election. He broke all the rules, but he still won. This is a massive screw you to the establishment. And that can only happen with a populist leader voted for by the majority of the people. I mean, again, he may not have won the majority vote exactly, but I'm just saying, this was conducted by the people. All right? This wasn't just some grand political strategy by the right. So, now, I can't remember exactly where I'm trying to go with this, but now the American people have asserted some dominance. We have a populist leader. I really hope that means that American people are not going to become complacent. I'm really hopeful that if they decide to look to each other, their neighbors, and say, all right, we had two very different ideas on how to go forth after Obama, and this was a terrible race, and I said mean things, and you said mean things, we need to bury the hatchet. And let's never, ever have an election like this again. Let's work together and try to make the country a better place. At the end of the day, guys, don't forget that it is only united that we stand. We, the people, have spoken. We've done our part. Donald Trump is going to be the next president. And now, we need to come together. We need to promise never ever to do this to each other again, please, for the love of God. And for better or for worse, we really do kinda need to make America great again. I'm not saying that just because I want to promote Donald Trump's slogan, but like legitimately, regardless of who's our banner carrier for this, and I would not have chosen Donald Trump as my first pick for president, not a chance, but for better or for worse, we do need to focus on keeping America strong, united, healthy, promoting liberty, freedom, justice, equality, everything that made America great. We can't lose sight of that. Go have your fun. All right, those of you who won, those of you who are excited, go and have your fun. Those of you who are sad, take your time to grieve. But at the end of the day, don't do something you're going to regret. And be prepared to forgive and to work together for a common purpose. That's the only thing I really have to say after this. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents. All right, let's move on to the video. We're going to start up with year 9. A lot of things happened last time. Okay. This is a perfect recap. So the uncompetitive economy is gone, high productivity is back, homelessness is gone, food crisis is gone. 4 really good indicators for me. Unemployment and poverty are crashing right back down and the GDP is starting to rise. We have a DNA database that they are asking for, which we will prevent because we know that liberals will hate it. I'm mostly upset that we have almost a 12 billion kwacha deficit right now. That should get fixed somewhat by having the GDP, but we did spend a lot of money trying to get out of these crises, and I'm not sure how effective they're going to be. We do have to reduce the petrol tax. I think that's inevitable. I'm not happy about it, but I think it is inevitable. The rare earth crisis is not going down very much, and honestly, until we reduce our technology, I don't think it's ever really going to. I'm pretty darn sure we're never going to get rid of this, to be honest. Which is sad. The general strike, however, is about to end as of next video. Thank God. Let's end the general strike and get people back to work, yeah? Woo! 37% rise to the GDP by getting rid of that alone. The real estate bubble is actually on its way down. By the time the state housing is done, I'd like to think this will be fixed. Or the GDP will go up high enough that it just sort of hovers above the stop trigger and it taunts me. It's going to be one of the two. I don't really know yet. All right, we're going to have to reduce the petrol tax. That's inevitable. Again, not happy about it. We're going to reduce it down to about 20%. Let's see if that works out for us. Maybe it'll be enough. Maybe it won't. If it's not too damn bad, I'm not getting rid of any more money. We do want to try to increase our border controls. I did say last video that the immigration right now is ridiculous, and it is. People are flooding into the nation, and while a little bit of immigration is good, this much? Yeah, no. A little bit of a problem with our GDP, but mostly the unemployment, the racial tension, and the drop in wages are hurting me. Also, the real estate bubble. Pretty big freaking deal. So we have to reduce this, even if it's going to upset the ethnic minorities and the liberals. We need to go for some border controls. I don't know if I want to max it out. Maxing it out might be a little bit harsh, but if I do, say, armed guards along the border for 50 million kwacha, it's pretty decent. Liberals would be unhappy by 20%, ethnic minorities unhappy, tourism even goes down, which I don't like, but immigration will go down by about 72%, which is a lot. Theoretically, our immigration is probably hovering somewhere around 140%. Obviously, it gets capped at 100, but my point is, this won't get us down to like 30% immigration by itself, but it will do a lot. So we're going to pass this. It won't cost me a ton of money, and it actually might do some real good for the country. So, yeah, I could actually pass the tourism ad campaign and try to make up for some of the lost tourism. And let's go ahead and do that real quick. This actually improves our foreign relations a little bit too, which I'm not sure how much good that's going to do, but I guess it's worth a little bit something. Green Utopia. I just got an achievement. Ooh, you truly have made this country a green and pleasant land, free from the horrors of pollution, waste, and damage to the climate. We and the planet thank you. If only the planet actually could just say, thank you, Pravus. I'd be amazed. Tourists killed in an animal attack. Ah, crap. I suppose that that does happen sometimes when you're trying to conserve nature as much as possible. We should have killed the planet a little bit more. Those people might have survived. General strike has been called off, and immediately the GDP goes right back up to where it was. So, now we're starting to look a lot better. The corporate exodus is still on its way down. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough by itself. I could get rid of the automation tax. Just cancel it outright. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It would improve our productivity a little bit, I think. It's a thought. It is a thought. Let's take a look at the... Okay, real estate bubble. I told you it was going to go right back up. Gosh dang it. The GDP got recovered too soon. If it had waited just a little bit longer, the bubble would have ended, but no. No such luck. Okay. We could get rid of the automation tax. It's actually cheaper to cancel it than to reduce it. And even if we got it down to 0, it wouldn't get rid of all of this. You know what? Cancel the automation tax. That was a stopgap measure back a long time ago when we were trying to fix unemployment. But now that we actually are a technologically advancing nation, it's no longer necessary. Not so much. So, yeah, that's gone. 21 points left. You know, we do need to save a bit of money. I'm questioning whether or not I should try to reduce the climate warning system, which is really expensive. Could just get it down to a warning system. It'd save us a lot. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is... Wait. No, we definitely don't need this anymore. This has no direct impact on the environment. It would have an impact on the water shortage if we had that still, but the water shortage is gone. We've crossed the stop trigger. I probably can reduce this down to a warning system, and it may not come back. The alert system, maybe. But this one, I think this is okay. Alright, let's save ourselves a bit of money. Maybe even a lot of money. I don't know yet. Okay, one of the things that I wanted to do for the economy, try to make things a little bit better, is to go for the financial services regulation. For that, we need 40 points, huh? 40 points, you say? We are generating 30 right now. What turn is this? We got a couple more to go. You know what? Let's go ahead and save our points, move on, and we will try to pass that. People smuggling. A large number of people have been caught entering our country, hidden inside cargo containers in an organized attempt at people smuggling. You know, there's a movie. Oh, God, I wish I could remember the name of it. So I have this class, or had this class, sorry, back when I was in college. It was kind of like a geographical class. It's world regions, basically, with an awesome professor. But one of the things that we do for extra credit, sorry, there we go. Extracurricular activities is what I was going for before I tripped over my words, was we could occasionally watch some movies, and one movie I had to watch was this French movie. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it was all in French, so we had to read subtitles. And this was actually one of the central themes of the plot. It was like this old guy who, like, was fishing or something like that. He's like, I don't know, I don't remember what his job is, really, but a cargo container arrived in a port city of France, and they found people inside, and one of the little boys ran away, and he got found by this old guy, and there was a question of how or not to smuggle him across, you know, to a ship to get to the United Kingdom. It was one of the dumbest movies I think I've ever seen in my life, but it was topical at the time because, well, there was a lot of people smuggling going on across the Mediterranean, a lot of people fleeing North Africa after Libya and all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't remember the name of the movie, and I don't know where I'm going with the story exactly, but it was a god-awful movie. And it's the only French movie I think I've ever seen. And if that's the quality of your movies, then I am so very sorry. You're gonna have to stick with Hollywood for a little while. Well, okay, so long as Hollywood still exists in the United States, because we already know that a whole mess of famous actors and so on have said that they're gonna be leaving the United States if Donald Trump wins, which he did, so let's see how many actually go through with it. Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer said they were gonna leave. Oh, please leave. Please go to Canada, or wherever else, Spain. I don't know. Go, please. Do it. Do it! We should start a Kickstarter. We'll raise up some money, so they have no excuses. Yeah. I'm not a fan of those two, if you can't tell. Alright, we're gonna allow them to stay because we need to make the ethnic minorities happy because of immigration stuff. I mean, we did just raise the borders, the immigration should be plummeting and all that. We can afford to have a single shipping container full of people, right? Yeah, look at that. Look at that, it's plummeting. Yeah, that's going to do a lot for us. Let's take a look at the real estate bubble. It is going down, and state housing is still taking effect. There's a bit more inertia to go. We might be able to get rid of this. Rare earth crisis, no way in heck, but the rest, maybe. And it actually looks like the petrol protests are going to go away. Thank God. And corporate exodus is also going away because of the automation tax. Thank God. Okay. I mean, if we still believed in God, because the religious membership is down to only 4%. We're pretty much an atheistic nation at this point. We're like Albania. That's the nation, right? Is it Albania? Or is it Armenia? No, Albania? Albania, I think? Well, I don't know. There's some nation in, I think, Eastern Europe that actually the state religion is basically atheism. Or at least it used to be a few years ago. I haven't really kept track of that. Maybe things have changed. Who knows? Financial services regulation. This is like Glass-Steagall and all sorts of other stuff, which Democrats are super duper thrilled about. A lot of people aren't. This is actually an amazingly good policy in this game. Corruption just plummets because we're regulating the financial sectors and making sure there's not like a conflict of interest in insider trading. Foreign investment skyrockets because of a good stable market. International trade skyrockets. The GDP skyrockets. Capitalists don't like it, but it's only 11.5%. Not even a big deal. Stock exchange develops. Residential credit facilities. Like, this is one of the best policies in the frickin' game if you can afford it. It costs a lot of political capital up front, which is the only reason we didn't do it earlier when I had no political capital to spare. But now it's really freaking good. It's just a shame that in this game, once you kind of start capping out on the GDP, that's the best you're ever going to do. See, one of the things about economies in these games, and as far as like tax revenue, at least in the United States, all right, let's make this relevant to the topics at hand right now. So, on one hand, you have kind of the Keynesian, more of the democratic side of how you fix the economy, and you kind of spend your way out of a crisis. This is why you get all sorts of, well, what am I trying to say? What was it called? I'm blanking right now. I'm blanking so hard, and I feel stupid. President Obama passed it. Frickin' heck. Stimulus! Thank you! Stimulus. That's what it was. Stimulus packages and stuff. You basically take a lot of money, you try to find certain targeted ways to do things in the economy to try and get the best results, and you spend a ton of money to try and get yourself out of an economic crisis so that certain industries are preserved and the tax revenue supposedly will pay for itself. I've yet to see any conclusive study suggesting that investment actually pays for itself. The alternative, of course, is what Republicans have been suggesting for a while, which is you solve our spending crisis or our income crisis by growing the economy. Grow the economy enough that you don't need to raise taxes anymore. You know, when the economy grows larger and people have more money, you'll just get more tax revenue naturally. But if you raise the tax rate any further, well, you might actually find you have diminishing returns, and you actually get less money than before, and so on. So this is basically what we're trying to do, is grow the economy. But in this game, it's one of the most frustrating things. Once you reach this cap, it doesn't matter how much more you grow the economy. I mean, this financial services regulation may actually do nothing for me as far as increasing my revenue, because once the GDP gets capped out, congratulations, you're basically capped out on your taxes. Have fun. I think that's dumb. I wish that there was a little bit more of an overflow, personally. Always have wished that. Never gotten my wish. So, yeah. Alright. Corporate exodus is at an end. Petrol protest is at an end. Credit rating has been upgraded. Huzzah! Oh, gosh. And the budget deficit is still pretty bad, but we're back up to a AAA, at least for now. The deficit, I mean, yeah, the debt. Ooh, God, that debt, though. It's really, really bad. One thing I guess I could do is I could try passing a new tax. A capital gains tax. Now, this will be upsetting to the capitalists, and it'll hurt the GDP a little bit. But we can afford to hurt the GDP a bit more with taxes, because we're going to have that overflow due to the financial services regulation. So as long as this doesn't trigger like another corporate exodus or a brain drain, I think we can afford a little one. And not a big one, not a big capital gains tax. You want it to stay low enough that people are still very incentivized to continue investing in the stock market, in venture capital projects, and so on, whatever you can. So this will upset the capitalists a tiny bit, but it'll improve our quality. And most importantly, yeah, it'll hurt the GDP by about 1.7%. But again, we're already overflowing. We can afford to hurt it a little bit. This will bring in an extra 700 million kwacha, which makes at least a little bit of a difference, and it didn't absolutely destroy us as far as the political capital. So we can afford to do a little bit more. What if... How expensive would it be to... I can't reduce the state healthcare services. I wanted to reduce that and save myself a frick ton of money. What are we spending most of our money on right now? Healthcare vouchers, in fact. Also the rare earth metal mining. Shockingly. Climate Change Adaptation Fund is still very expensive, but oh well. I mean, if we have this much private healthcare, we probably don't need the state healthcare, but that's something I'll probably have to do next time. for now, let's try to prevent the... what am I trying to say? Let's try to prevent the urbanization, which is almost certainly going to happen. It happens every time by about, like, 8 or 9 years, whenever I play Democracy 3. Urbanization is a nasty effect, where basically everyone is moving into the cities and abandoning the rural areas, and we're already seeing this happening because they're up to 91.8% of the vote. So we need to reduce this a little bit. Let's go to things like city farms. We're going to try to increase our rural membership directly a little bit. We will also pass, let's say, the vertical farm subsidies. This will also increase the rural membership a lot, 16.27%. It also will reduce the food prices, which I am a big fan of right now, because our people were suffering from very expensive food before, and now it is dirt cheap, which is actually not going to be great for our health, but whatever. Do I care? Heck no. Yeah, that's actually where we have to end this video. All right. Well, things are looking pretty good then. The real estate bubble's really close to ending. Really close. Maybe we can by next time. Rare Earth Crisis, don't think it's going to happen. No way in heck. We're maxed out on the stock exchange, doing really... productivity's starting to fall a little bit. That scares me a little. Oil wealth is starting to get depleted. We've kind of draining ourselves of oil. Really glad that I took that oil drilling opportunity, though. That's been paying for itself pretty nicely. Residential credit is maxed out, which, by the way, is, yes, increasing poverty a little bit. No effect on the GDP? What? 0.09%? That's nothing. And mineral wealth is going down a little bit as well. Endangered species are happy. Natural wonder is happy. How are we looking as far as the environment in general? It's starting to go down now that the GDP has improved. Maybe next time we need to do some stuff to try and improve the environment a little bit more before it drops down to about this level. I suspect that might happen. That'll have to wait till next time. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Pravus. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the election. I know some of you guys are really excited and some of you guys are really unhappy. I'm trying to be as neutral as I can, by the way. Like, you already know that I don't like both people, but I'm trying not to alienate any particular group. So sue me if I'm being a little harsh on your candidate, or maybe not harsh enough, according to what some of you guys might think. So leave a comment, just keep that in mind. I'm not the bad guy here. Subscribe if you want to see my future content, and I, as always, will see you guys next time.